All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 46 of Empty the Bench. That's Nick Federa. I'm Nick Morgeson. Little emergency for Tom Albano. He'll join us next week. But this is an interesting topic, Nick. So let's get right into the topic of the week. And it is the Redskins sexual assault allegations.
Now, context is necessary. So we've had a lot of bandwidth on this show talking about the Redskins over the past couple of weeks, whether the name change, the culture change, and all that comes in. And now we have this to talk about. So things aren't exactly peachy at Casa de Snyder, if I may use that term.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, so let's go back first and discuss what's happened over the past week. So we were talking about the Washington football team, Washington Wildcards, whatever you want to call them at this point. And we did a great interview. And if you didn't get a chance to check it out, we spoke to the trademark hog himself, Martin McCauley, who has all of the trademarks that you could possibly have.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most odd interviews we've ever done, and odd in a good way. So head on over to our Facebook page, and you'll see that video. And I'm telling you, it's well worth your time. And not because I'm biased here, but it is. It definitely is.
Nick and I can agree on this, and sometimes we don't agree on many things when it comes to opinions. But basically, we can agree that this is the strangest interview we ever did in the entire interview catalog that we've had on this show.
So, by a country mile. I'd imagine, because this is such an unusual situation. Unusual as in, I don't think this has ever happened before, and it's unlikely to happen in a culture as, I'd say, performatively progressive as the NFL wants to make us think it's becoming. But it's still a very conservative culture in terms of ownership and who is actually paying, in terms of the politics of who's actually paying the bills here.
Right. So we got into
the Buffalo Bills, the Bills themselves.
Right. Well, we'll leave that topic for another day. And actually, if you check out our last couple episodes, we cover this whole name change issue. But if you look on the bottom of our screen right now, this is the big story. So the Washington Post came out with an explosive story. What day did this story come out?
This story dropped on, we did the interview on Thursday.
Right.
And it had just dropped. Actually, it had just dropped, in fact, 20 minutes before we were due to go on air to speak with Martin. And we couldn't really speak about it with him when we were talking to him then because it was so new. But now that we've had a couple of days to digest, what has come out in what the Washington Post reporting is definitely disturbing. And it does point to a systemic culture of sexism, of racism, and just general toxicity. And it's really, for those of us who have covered the follies of the Redskins for the past couple of years, as we have, going back to the Unspoken days, I mean, this is no surprise.
Right. Excuse me. That this whole situation dropped on everybody like a bombshell. And then we see Emily Applegate, which was the big name. You saw her on ESPN. You saw her on Good Morning America. I saw her on NBC. I saw her on all the major network platforms. I think she was the head coordinator of marketing, I think, for the Redskins. And she came out and said there was an alleged abuse situation, sexual assault allegations. And then this whole thing just torpedoed off a cliff.
Oh, absolutely. And, the cliff notes of it are essentially that 15 employees had accused Redskins, ownership, not necessarily ownership, but the leadership of the team of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and they even had examples of text messages to back them up. And if you read it, it's not kind of gross. It is very, very gross.
It's disturbing, actually.
It's disturbing, as a matter of fact. And you're right. You're right, exactly. And again, Snyder, since this has come out, I think they've played it very, very coy, very close to the chest, as is expected of major sports teams when something like this happens. But the thought does cross my mind that perhaps Snyder is going to use this name change opportunity to deflect a bit from this, to say, hey, we've got a new name, new culture. That might not be the case. In fact, it probably won't be the case at all as long as Dan Snyder is the owner. I mean, we've been shouting at him for years to resign, and he's not going anywhere.
Well, I don't know if it's really resign. You want him to sell the team, right?
Yes, to sell the team. Apologies. Yeah.
No, that's okay. No, but just basically, I'll ask you this question, Nick. Journalism perspective here. So, would this be a Clippers situation with Donald Sterling or a Panthers situation with Jerry Richardson? Would you say that these compare?
Well, because of everything we've seen with organizations coming under the microscope and all the dirty stuff they tried to sweep under the rug coming now to light, I'm more inclined to think that what happened to Jerry Richardson and Donald Sterling are the exceptions, not the rules. Because in Donald Sterling's case, we did have deposition, we did have audio proof of him talking to, basically admitting to these things in one way or another, and you had players corroborating all of this. This time, I did not realize before I had read the story that there were texts backing this up. So now we've got evidence. Does that really mean anything in a case? But in a case like Dan Snyder, he doesn't seem like the kind of person he's not going to move on criticism unless the shareholders tell him to move.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I would say, besides Jerry Jones, I think Daniel Snyder is one of the more unethical owners when it comes to the NFL.
Well, he's way up there at the top. If he's not the top, he's probably number 2.
Right.
With pun definitely intended.
Right. And just trying to understand the way this whole situation went down. And I'll flip to the number that's really disturbing, which is this one. The Washington Post officially reported 15 sexual harassment claims. 15! We're not talking about 1. We're not talking about 2. We're talking about 15.
When 15 people say you did something, you probably did something.
Right. And it came out, Emily Applegate, who was the big name, the one that put her name to the story. And it was a really well done story by Liz Clark and Will Hubson. And I want to check that name just to make sure. Those were the two that broke the story on the Washington Post. And she was the one that actually spoke out and put her name to the allegations. And just looking at the statement that the NFL has made, the NFL is considering fines on the Redskins. I'm sorry. So you're going to fine an owner that's worth millions of dollars over
billions of dollars.
Right. But I'm just saying you're going to fine an owner. I think the maximum fine you could put on an owner is $5 million.
Like that's going to change anything?
We're talking about unethical. We're talking about unethical here.
We're talking about unethical. We're talking about scumbags. This is the behavior of scumbags, and this is how scumbags behave when their backs are against the wall, as scumbags are wont to do. I have said this many, many times, that this is not, again, this is who he is. This is the culture that he has allowed to fester. Whether he was directly involved in it, this is a failure of leadership from top to bottom. And we can't expect anything greater out of Dan Snyder than this. This is what he is.
Right. And we're seeing all these situations. So, Daniel Snyder and his wife came out and wrote a letter saying, we apologize and we're hiring a law firm and we're going to go through and look at all the alleged allegations. Now, call me crazy, but when you have allegations and you say you're looking to hire a law firm, that doesn't make it go away.
Especially these performative apologies, these performative non-apologies. Mind you, he did not say we're sorry, did not say those words. He said he said we're looking into it, which is essentially your way of saying let's see where this is going first before we actually have to face any kind of backlash for this.
So this is a situation where
that kind of thing is not going to fly in the court of public opinion, and it's not cancel culture. Believe me, it's not. Don't tell me that this is cancel culture, because this is not people being canceled. Because is Dan Snyder going anywhere? No.
And that's the problem here. We're talking about a situation, like I said, where we've had owners in the past. We can even go back to the Patriots. Look at the Patriots.
Yes.
The owner
was actually cheating at the game of football, and he got away with it.
No, but I'm talking about going into the massage parlor.
Yeah, I completely forgot about old massage parlor Robert. So I completely forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
So, but that's my point here. So we're talking about. So this is the second team now in the last year that has had an issue with sexual advances, sexual abuse situations, and the NFL's not doing anything to step up and say, "Hey, Roger, maybe it's time to wake up and smell the you-know-what," because you're not seeing it.
They don't want to do anything because they don't want to be seen cracking the whip on their owners, because who does Roger Goodell really work for?
The owners.
Exactly. They're more than happy to crack the whip on the players for if they do things good and bad, for infractions minor and major.
But you know what's ironic?
But if the owners are responsible for it, they won't do a damned thing.
But you know what's ironic though? Like usually when we're talking about these type of situations, we're talking about players who've committed sexual abuse allegations. We're talking about the ownership group. We're talking about the inner circle. That's the direct words of the Washington Post, the direct quotes of all the different media outlets. It's the inner circle of the Washington Redskins, the ownership, that's being accused of this.
Yeah, and excuse us for being pessimists, but we've seen this too many times for me or Nick to assume that this is going to end any other way than Tuchek Goodell swoops in after they'd signed the bat signal. He comes in and doles out his checks like he doles out his checks like he's throwing ninja stars, and it just goes away because Roger wants to sweep it under the rug. So away it goes. They get to change the name. They get to dodge criticism. They get to dodge any kind of culpability, of which they are very, very, very much culpable.
Right. And I want to talk about the text messages that you started to talk about before. So I found the text messages. This was a conversation between Richard Mann II, former assistant director of pro personnel, one of the few people in the ownership or inner circle, you want to call it, and a former female Redskins employee. You should have known right there that this was wrong right from the start when this came out. So this text message starts as, "Nice shirt." Now, do I really have to go much further right after that?
Yeah, because no, you don't. But again, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. And oh God, my God.
I'll continue. LOL, thanks, ? LOL, sorry, inside joke. Okay, we need to clarify something. When someone says LOL, sorry, inside joke, like
that means I got caught.
Right.
Hey, I was just kidding. I didn't mean it.
Oh, and then right after that, it's a compliment. It says.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
So then the employee responds, "What's the joke?" "Nothing. It's stupid. You look great today. That's all." Okay. Oh, nice save. Nice save.
You utter creep. Jesus. This is just it wears away the will. It does. So I have all sympathy. I have every ounce of sympathy in the world for these women, because imagine what they're going through.
So then it goes on. "I want to be in on these jokes," and then the Richard Mann II responds, "Lame boob joke."
Oh God!
Like, what are you accomplishing here? Like, what are you doing?
What are you expecting to happen?
And these are creepy old men, by the way, as you would say.
Yes, exactly. Creepy old men thinking boundaries. What boundaries? They mambo over them.
Okay.
It's just
Like it gets worse. Just letting you know from there. So
well, of course it does. It always does.
then the response is, "I figured that much." And then Richard responds, "No offense, sorry. Real or fake is the debate." Like, I'm lost for words here. Like, not because I know it's wrong. You know it's wrong, but I'm lost for words that this is even a conversation they're having.
That these are adults, elderly men that realize that feel okay with acting like this.
Like, I can't. So then it goes on. Excuse me. Bring me food. I hurt. Ha. Okay. Do you want Jimmy John's? I don't know. Some weird conversation about delivering food. OMG, I love the beach club. If I bring that, I want to squeeze your butt. Deal. Like, what is going on here?
Again, this. Oh my god! I mean, I got nothing. All I could say is, this is just, you wouldn't tolerate this out of any other workplace in the country.
Nowhere. No.
Don't give me any of this bullshit about cancel culture, because it doesn't actually exist. But this is no. You would get fired from a McDonald's acting like this.
So
acting
then
in this way.
So then it goes on. I don't want to get out of bed. Oh, I see. I suppose I can deliver. It's kind of far as blank, though. Do you tip the food delivery guy? You're very demanding. Haha, I'm hungry. Was supposed to have family lunch, but granddad couldn't get out of his neighborhood. That sucks. I'm squeezing your ass. Sorry, LOL.
Out of nowhere, he just says that.
Yes. Like, what are you accomplishing with this conversation? Nothing. That's what's happening.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Or definitely very far short of what he thought he was going to get. And it's, oh my god, it's
so then she says nope, and then the conversation kind of comes to an end. That's not even a big deal. It's like innocent. I'll text you when I get back over that ways. I'll pick you up something. And that's how it ends.
These people should be in prison. I'm sorry, but you would not tolerate this from any other profession in this country, in this world, even.
You want my hot take?
Why are we letting this slide?
My hot take right here is Daniel Snyder needs to sell the team. Daniel Snyder should not be allowed to own a football team anymore. Roger Goodell needs to step up and stop being a pansy.
Is he going to do any of these things?
No,
exactly. Because again, this is giving him, the name change is giving him the perfect cover, even though it shouldn't, even though it's something that should have been done 80-something years ago, that your team was carrying around a racial slur as a name. This is giving him the perfect cover to say, new name, culture change. Look at us. We're making all these diversity hires, even though they're not actually making any of those diversity hires. And they're not making any kind of progress to ameliorate the situation, only to shut us up. And that's not progress.
And you know what?
Progress. That's not equality.
And you know what? Good for Emily for speaking up and saying what needed to be said. I'm sorry.
It's really brave what she did.
This has to be done. And you know what? I know we're going to get killed by Redskins fans here, but this organization is a pile of hot garbage, and it needs to be handled responsibly.
Even Martin said that, for God's sake.
I'm sorry.
Martin said that, and he's a Redskins fan.
Roger Goodell, step up, wake up.
By the way, lest you accuse us of being biased, we're very well aware that this thing probably happens around most of the NFL teams.
How about most sports?
In most North American sports leagues, probably treat women and minorities and people of color like this. I guarantee you they do.
Absolutely.
So, but the Redskins are just the most recent example. They are probably not even the most egregious. We just don't know about it yet.
It's terrible. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. We're going to see this, and we're going to see more. We saw this with Mark Cuban and the Mavericks. Remember when that whole scandal came out?
And what happened to Mark Cuban?
He had to go through sensitivity training,
He
and
had to go for sensitivity training, but did he sell the team like he probably should have?
No.
Even though no, he didn't. So don't tell me owners are getting canceled for how they act. Nobody's getting canceled, you morons.
No one's being canceled.
You know what? No one who should be canceled is getting canceled.
No, and I'm tired of like people are coming out on social media. And I'm getting really annoyed by this. People are saying, "Oh, these women are coming out for attention." No, they're not. They're not coming out for attention. They're coming out for a cry for help.
Yes, please. You need to know that these people are. You need to know that these people are creeps. Wouldn't again if it was anybody else? If it was your daughter, what would you do?
Exactly.
Would you really say, "Oh, honey, you're just crying for attention"? What would you do? That's more of a rhetorical question, but I still must ask it.
Well, would you go beat the crap out of somebody if your daughter was being senselessly sexually abused by older creepy men? Seriously, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to get mad and brash about this, but it's dumb. The dumb shit that goes on in the NFL circle, and I call it the NFL circle because we've seen owners get in trouble and all they do is get a slap on the wrist.
But this is the culture that the NFL has fed into. This is the culture that the NFL thrives upon. This is what it was built upon. So if you're going to effect any kind of change, that system that they built in place has to come down. It must be dismantled, and dismantled post haste. But again, like I said, in a performatively progressive, but at the heart conservative, and I don't mean performatively in any kind of derogatory sense, mind you.
Right.
But I do think that in terms of making actual, tangible, physical, social change, they're not going to do it. Colin Kaepernick has not set foot on the grass of an NFL field in 4 years. In fact, has it been more than 4 years?
It's been 4 years, I think.
Can you really expect the NFL to change? It's going to be what it's going to be until you get their shareholders saying to them, you know what? If you don't do these things, no more ad money for you. You hit them where it hurts. That's how you got Snyder to be able to change the name. FedEx got up his ass and said, change it.
Right. And we'll finish on this because we're a little bit over here. I'll leave it with the point you were just saying, which is the FedEx CEO is a minority owner. We saw 40% that are minority percentage owners of the team got together with a bank franchise because they're getting ready to sell their shares of the team. So long story short, this is a bad situation. First, it was the name change. Now it's the 15 sexual harassment cases brought on by these 15 women. And it's just a terrible situation, unfortunately. And we'll continue to follow this story as it develops. And hopefully the NFL does the right thing. But that'll do it for episode 46 of Empty the Bench. Follow us at ETB Sports Pod. Or actually, excuse me, that's our old handle. ETB Sports on Twitter and at Empty the Bench on Facebook. And follow Nick Federa at Nick Writes Words. And also follow myself at N Morgeson Radio. And we will talk to you again next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.